Hi everyone, how's it going? It's 10:50 on a Tuesday. How are we doing? How are we feeling today? Friday when you're seeing this. Hi, hello. Today's video, we're gonna be doing another one of my makeup brand tier lists. And we've done high-end brand, we've done indie brands. We're gonna be talking about influencer brands today because I feel like there's so many that I don't even know about, or like ones that I'm just like, wait, that's a brand? Who had a brand? That's from an influencer? We're gonna be making a tier list of sorts. And before we go any further, I do wanna let people know that like my tier list videos are not the most serious. We're not gonna be doing like in-depth criticism or in-depth like thought-provoking or very accurate tiers. We're just kind of having a laugh. We're just kind of making a fun tier list. I name all my tier list tiers after songs that are like somewhat related to how I feel about the brand. So that's going to be no different today because I found a list of songs that I want to make my tiers. If you were looking for like makeup review channel level commentary, this might not be the video for you. Today's video is actually sponsored by HelloFresh. So before we actually get into the tiers, let's go watch Josh and I make some enchiladas. Okay, we'll be right back. Today's video is sponsored by HelloFresh. Here's how all of you out there watching can get seasonal tasty recipes with fresh pre-measured ingredients delivered right to your front door with HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit, making cooking at home fun, easy, and affordable. This week we had pork enchiladas with homemade pico de gallo in our box, and when it comes to comfort food, enchiladas are up there on my list. Warm, melty cheese, soft tortillas. Literally your dinner is wrapped in a blanket. Currently, HelloFresh actually has a bunch of seasonal savory sides and autumn desserts in the HelloFresh market if you are looking for even more comforting foods. You can mix and match with ready-to-bake cinnamon rolls, mini pumpkin cheesecakes, yum, and spice lattes, to name just a few. With HelloFresh, you get fresh seasonal produce in each box straight from farmers, so you can also feel good about where you're getting your produce from. You can choose from a constantly growing rotation of weekly recipes featuring that seasonal produce, like soups and chilies. Anything to warm me up this fall, I am in. Another plus for me is the time that we save with HelloFresh, whether it's on our food prep work or grocery shopping, which is one of my least favorite activities to do after work. So if I'm feeling extra spent, HelloFresh actually offers a wide variety of quick meal options like 20-minute dinners or oven-ready pizzas. And if I chose those enchiladas again in my box, I probably would have doubled the servings, so I could have had it for lunch the next day because I love leftovers. Thankfully, it's super easy to increase the box size online, so you have enough for lunch the next day. Also, if you are regularly late for work, like me, there are small on-the-go options like egg bites for breakfast or salad kits for lunch that can cut on the time that it takes you to still be slightly late for work. I try. And right now, everyone is looking for ways to reduce their carbon footprint and be more sustainable, however way works best for them. And if food waste is one of your priorities, which it is one of mine, HelloFresh is a good option for you. Each day, about a pound of food per person is wasted, which is kind of scary, and these meal kits eliminate your food waste for that night entirely. HelloFresh's carbon footprint is 25% less than that of traditional store-bought groceries, too. So, if this sounds good to you and you'd like to try out HelloFresh for yourself, go to HelloFresh.com and use AbbyW14 to get 14 free meals, including free shipping. If you've been wanting to try a meal kit, now is a great time to try HelloFresh. Again, that's HelloFresh.com, and make sure to use code AbbyW14 to get 14 free meals with free shipping. Thank you so much to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's video. So, let's get back to our regularly scheduled programming. Okie dokie, we are back. We are back from the foods. First things first, we need to make a tier list. So, influencer brands. Go away, advertisement. No category. Influencers made these brands. Heck yeah. We don't need a cover photo. We do need these, though. Lamb. Okay. We're gonna have 7 categories because I found 7 of them, and we will go. I don't know why they're colored the way they are, but we will put the top one on the top just so that it makes people a little bit happier. So the S tier, the top tier, that one's gonna be What I Like About You by the Romantics. So that's gonna be the top tier, the one that I like the most out of all the brands, ones that I own or appreciate or like actually support in some way, shape, or capacity, because you will soon find out that many of these I just don't have strong feelings positively about them. Taking Care of Business. Business by Bachman Turner Overdrive, because you know, this one being the category right beneath it is a category for brands that I don't necessarily like love, but I can respect from a distance, and I can be like, you know, you're doing your thing. I don't have ill will towards you. Good for you. Not my thing, but you know, you're taking care of business. I love coming up with these. This is my favorite part of doing these videos, is just like finding the songs. Next we have Why by Annie Lennox. That's not gonna be the one that's capitalized. I'm titling it with a lot of Y's, because that's how the song goes. This is just, why did the brand, who thought this was a good idea? Why did they need this? It's pointless. This is my pointless category. Maybe I only have 6 categories. I don't necessarily need the Glory Days category. Okay, next we have That Don't Impress Me Much. Don't Impress Me Much by Shania Twain, which is one of the only country artists I really ever liked her music when I was a child. Next one is Bad Day from Daniel Powder. You know that song. Of course you know that song. It's like ingrained in our brains forever. Show Extra Rose. And then the last category is Pain by Jimmy Eat World. So the difference between these two is this one constantly gives me pain. Bad Day is just like, you know, you had a bad day. You take it one down. You sing a sad song and you turn it around. We have 6 categories. Let us begin. We have, these are in no particular order. It looks like they're in alphabetical order though. Actually, yeah, they're totally in alphabetical order. I'm like, are they in alphabetical order? Yeah. There aren't as many on here. I also left out things like House Labs, Fenty, Rare, and then About Face, because in my brain, if somebody is a musician first, I don't think of them as like an influencer. Like influencers who get into music are one thing, but like if somebody got famous because they made music, I think of that as like a different category. If your favorite wasn't included in here, I'm sorry. I'm not the all-knowing, all-seeing brand person that knows about everything. First, we have Auric. Auric is Samantha Ravindall's brand, and I actually own one of these. This is the Glow Lust, the little like liquid highlight. I love this. I really do. I like it. I think the quality's great. I think that starting with what Sam did, the way that Sam began the brand, like works for her, and it makes so much sense for her with like the cream eyeshadows and then these kind of more liquidy kind of cream highlighters. Like it made so much sense for her, and I feel like she came out the gate modestly, like not trying to do so much all at once, but doing just enough to where they could handle it as a new business. And I really like the product that I have, and I'm definitely like keeping up with Auric, and like I follow them on Instagram. I want to know what's coming up next. Yeah, I'm into Auric. I'm into them. Okay, next, Dominique Cosmetics. Now, I don't think I've ever actually watched a Kristen Dominique video, truth be told. Nothing against her specifically. I don't really know anything about her, so I don't know much about her. But everything I've seen from her brand, for the most part, has been interesting. And stuff that looked like they were actually putting in work, looked like there was actually passion behind it. Because, you know, there's some brands where it just looks like, we're doing this for money. Dominique Cosmetics doesn't seem like that. It seems like they actually like really wanted to make pretty good makeup. You know, the only things that I've heard Like I said, I don't really know much about her, but I know that there were some shade names in a couple of the palettes that were a little bit questionable, and I don't remember if that was ever, like, addressed. As far as what I've heard about the palettes themselves, the quality's good. Like, from everybody that I've heard who has used the eyeshadows, the quality is good. The cheek stuff, quality is good. And, you know, I'm going to put them in taking care of business, because I think, for the most part, Kristen Dominique has kind of stayed in her lane. Like I said, I don't really know much about her, so, like, correct me if I'm wrong. I've never really seen her get into anything with people, which I can appreciate. Next, Dragon Beauty. I can't decide if I want to put Dragon Beauty... No, I'm going to put Dragon Beauty in Y for several reasons. One, why is it the way that it is? There's no, like, rhyme or reason to the releases of things, to the collections, the products. Like, the thing with Nikita Dragon that just grinds my gears is that when the brand first came out, it could have been something really cool. Like, Nikita came out with the color corrector and the powder, and the color corrector, if they had come out with more than one shade, could have been something really cool. That could have been something where she filled a niche. But instead of doing that, they went on to release that terrifying looking face palette that had her face on it, which again was weird. And then like a lipstick, and then more powders, and then like another... there's just no rhyme or reason to it. Dragon Beauty confuses me in so many ways, and Nikita Dragon upsets me. Okay, next. M Cosmetics. I'm gonna put M Cosmetics also next to Dominique in the taking care of business, in that they're making stuff. And, you know, they're making stuff that seems to be good and that a lot of people like. And I don't own any of the products necessarily. Yeah, this was just... I don't know a lot about M Cosmetics, but of all of the makeup influencers on this list, Michelle Phan has been around probably the longest. So the fact that she finally came out with a brand that, like, has remained semi-successful, that's kind of cool. I don't really keep up with Michelle much anymore. I know there was some stuff about her in essential oils for a while. Everything I've seen from the brand itself has actually looked kind of cool. The thing both of these also do really well is they manage to have a centralized branding that makes sense, but it's not so directly tied to the influencer. Like, it's just tied enough to them. Both of those are kind of in the same category for that reason. Next is Florence by Mills. I have nothing against Millie Bobby Brown. I think she is a talented young lady, and I really like Stranger Things. I think she's super talented. The thing that bothered me about this brand release was the idea of a child being a brand, the face of a brand. It just kind of weirds me out in general. I remember some people were doing reviews of it. They were kind of unimpressed. So I'm going to put that in. That don't impress me much. I'm not mad about it necessarily. I was annoyed that the people who were working with her was having a child start a brand. Like, let her be a kid just a little bit longer. Come on. But that's not her fault. So, Huda Beauty. Huda Beauty is one of the brands I'm putting in taking care of business. Absolutely. They all have the black backdrop. See, I'm going to put Huda Beauty in Bad Day, because early on, there were some scandals. There were some things. And I remember I talked about it in a video recently where Huda Beauty, like, re-released a palette that they said were being discontinued. And there were a couple other things back at the beginning of the brand. And I think they had some bad days. But they do consistently put out decent products. And again, a brand that has been able to kind of surpass the influencer. They've had some bad days, but they've sang a sad song and they've turned it around. Item Beauty. Why? We talked about this. Why? Addison Rae doesn't have any authority over makeup and skincare. Why? I don't need this. Why? Why? Jaclyn Cosmetics is going in pain, mainly because I could also put her in Bad Day, but like the worst day. Jaclyn Cosmetics, similar to Dragon Beauty, has no sort of like rhyme or reason to the release of things. And Jacqueline often will like say things are limited edition, but then have them come back or say that they're permanent. Like there's never really like a centralized messaging coming from the brand that much. I think they've been able to find their like actual kind of aesthetic now, but for a while there was just a lot of stuff happening aesthetically where you're like, what are you even trying to do? Tati, that don't impress me much. For a couple of reasons. One, there hasn't been a new release in over a year, so that's interesting. Yeah, I everything I've seen from them was kind of like, okay, fine. Like, I'm not mad about it, but I'm not itching to go buy it, you know? It's just kind of there. Next, Jeffree Star Cosmetics is obviously going in pain because continuously he puts out products that are so god-awful, just unattractive. And the fact that it's tied to Jeffree Star. Like, Jeffree Star brings down the points of his own brand because unlike Huda Beauty or M Cosmetics, Jeffree Star is so closely tied to the personality of his brand that is literally impossible to separate the two. The thing that frustrates me, as well as everything else I've talked about before, is that when Jeffree Star Cosmetics first started, he was not nearly as famous, he was not nearly as big, did not have an audience like he does, but the products that they actually came out with were kind of cool. Like, in some alternate universe, if all the products that Jeffree Star Cosmetics put out when they first put out, and if it was owned by a different person, I would have bought it. Like, I would have bought those things if I liked the person that was coming out with the products. But now, as the years have gone by and as he's grown his audience more, the products have gotten less and less inspiring and more boring. So there's not even like the cool part of his brand anymore. You know, like there's not even the thing that made it somewhat alluring at the beginning to me. That's not even left. Everything's boring now. So that's going in pain. KKW Beauty. Why? KK and Kylie are going in why? Because why? Money. That's why. Kylie and KKW I put in the same category for a multitude of reasons, not just the fact that they're sisters, but because all of the products, there is something very vain about it. Very vain, very just, you're buying this because you love me type thing. At least with Kylie's releases, there is some sort of creativity involved in the packaging and stuff. KKW, there is zero creativity involved. They are so boring and they are so just the same all the time. That also, it doesn't impress me much, and it's pain. I mean, they're taking care of business because they're taking in a bank, but both of these, just why? Why? Laura Lee Cosmetics, I'm also going to put in bad day because I could put her into taking care of business, which she could also fit into the brand. I feel like Laura Lee is one of those people who went through a lot of stuff a few years ago, and did some things and, said a lot of things and went through a lot of things. And I don't follow her. I don't know what she's up to these days. From what I've seen, she's been able to kind of like get her life together and has kind of stayed in her lane ever since. And the brand seems to have kind of hit a rhythm and figured out their kind of centralized branding now, because I remember when they started, it was kind of all over the place. There was like a couple of palettes that were nudes, and then there was like smaller ones that were more neon, so there wasn't like a lot of cohesion from release to release. Now there actually seems like there's a lot of inspiration behind the colors in the palettes, and the releases make sense, and I'm not paying attention to her brand releases these days just because I have enough and I'm paying attention more closely to other people's stuff. But next is Likely Makeup, which is probably the smallest of all the brands on this list. And this is owned and run by It's Likely Makeup, Jordy. And they started with lashes, and then they started making cheek palettes, and there's not a ton of products in their line for sure, but everything about their brand is so freaking cute and just like cohesive and creative and different. Like, if I didn't wear glasses every day of my life, I would buy those lashes. But because I wear glasses every day of my life, I can't wear long eyelashes like that. But everything's just so different and cute and very much Geordie without being, it's like tied to her, but also just like cool otherwise, you know? And I love the brand. I really do. I enjoy them, and I own the Clown Blush. Is it in here? No, I think I brought it back upstairs. But I want more things from them. I want them to come out with more stuff. I almost bought the Fairy Blush palette recently, but I'm like, do I need like a green blush? I love Likely Makeup, and I want more things from them. Next, Lunar Beauty. Lunar Beauty is another one where I own like one thing. Do I own anything from these other brands? I think it's just the things that I have a product from, I like. Yeah, literally these are the only 3 brands where I have anything from them. That's hilarious, actually. Lunar Beauty is Manny MUA's brand, and I remember when he first released the Life's a Drag palette, like the first product from Lunar, I wasn't super into it personally, because it felt like, it didn't feel like it was bad, but it just felt kind of like I'm trying to do as much as I can with one product as my first launch, as like it's neutrals and colorful at the same time. I wasn't sure where kind of the brand vision was going, but the more and more products they've put out, and the more kind of variety of products they've put out with like cheek products and the eyeshadow palettes and the lip glosses and the lip creams. Did I say highlighters? I don't know. But all of those products, everything makes sense now. Everything has a very cohesive central branding. And I mean, I'm a sucker for like anything remotely spooky. So you know I'm a fan. I have the Eternal Eclipse palette and I love it. That's a great palette. Like, I'm not gonna lie. The palette's great. The Moonspell palette that just came out is very pretty, where I'm like, I don't know about, maybe, I don't know. The packaging out of all of these brands, I would say Likely and Lunar are my favorite, for sure. But yeah, I'm into Lunar Beauty as a brand, and I think that they're making good products. Like, they're making good stuff. Next, Makeup Geek. Makeup Geek is taking care of business, because they are. I don't have anything from Makeup Geek, I think. I know I did at one point, but I think I gave it to a friend of mine. I think Makeup Geek, to be able to like succeed more, I feel like they've had some bad days. I want Makeup Geek to be able to keep doing what they're doing, and I know that like Marlena is like going through a lot right now, and I want Makeup Geek to keep going, because I have a soft spot in my heart for them, because they were like one of the first like the first influencer brand in like the age of YouTube, and Marlena's been around for a long time, so I got a soft spot. Next, One Size Beauty. I'm putting One Size Beauty in that don't impress me much, because it doesn't. I like the gradient, the like variety of colors in this tier list. That'd be a fun eyeshadow palette. Anyway, One Size Beauty is Patrick Starr's brand, and when they first launched it launched immediately inside Sephora, which I thought was kind of weird. You know, it's a brand. The first thing they came out with was makeup remover, and then like makeup wipes, and then an eyeshadow palette, and then some like brow stuff. Again, a little bit confusing as far as like rhyme or reason to the release schedule or to what is released together. I'm not impressed with it. Okay, we're skipping Summer Fridays, because that one, I just wanted to talk about makeup in this one, because there's definitely other brands that are strictly skincare brands that could be talked about, like Selfless by Hiram, some other skincare brand, Crave Beauty. So this is the list. We have Auric, Likely Makeup, and Lunar Beauty as the What I Like About You. Taking care of business is Dominique Cosmetics, M Cosmetics, and Makeup Geek. 3 of the OGs, I think, actually. I know these 2 were OGs, Michelle and Marlena. Heck yeah. In the 3rd category, we have Y, Dragon Beauty, Item Beauty, KKW, and Kylie Cosmetics. I don't know why these colors are in like the wrong order. Judge the tier maker website. We have That Don't Impress Me Much as Florence by Mills, Tati Beauty, and One Size, because they don't impress me much. They don't make me angry. They just don't impress me. Bad Day, Huda Beauty, and Laura Lee. Had a bad day. Several bad days. You had several bad days. And then the bottom category, we have Jaclyn Cosmetics and Jeffree Star. I put in the pain category because they just they're pains in my butt. Those are all the brands I wanted to talk about in today's tier list. Again, thanks again to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's video. I very much appreciate it. You guys should go check the links down below. For today's song of the day, it's by Biffy Clyro. I was listening to it a ton. Oh my gosh, so much. A Hunger in Your Haunt by Biffy Clyro is your song of the day. It's like part of a two-part, there's like a music video with 2 songs, but Hunger in Your Heart is today's song of the day. I will link below the music video. It's really cool. I love Biffy Clyro. But yeah, Hunger in Your Haunt by Biffy Clyro is today's song of the day. I will attempt to do kind of like spookier songs of the day for the rest of October. That could be fun, for sure. And then maybe do a video like in Halloween makeup. Ooh, maybe, I don't know. Do I do a Halloween tutorial? Do I? Does she? I don't know. What should I do if I do? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you all had a good week. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you got enough sleep last night. I certainly didn't. And I hope you have a good rest of your week. It's Friday. Congratulations. You made it. Now go have a good weekend, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!